You're from TQM Consultancy in head there. And you want to add why you're here today? Anything specific that you're expecting from this webinar?
Rightly knowing more about the facilitative leadership, I'm also trying to help a lot of people in the leadership roles.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. And same with Sathi. All right. Here to learn about facilitative leadership. Okay. You're an intern, Darshana. Welcome. Sushma Hirur, unable to hear. Oh, just cross-checking. Can others hear me?
Yes, you are audible, Sanjay.
Oh, okay. So, Sushma, you might want to check. There might be some error at your end. All right. Okay, so just maybe we'll wait for about a minute more and then we'll get started. Okay, thank you, Mamta. You're from Virtusa. Okay, you want to sharpen your facilitation skills. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining in. All right, thank you, Bipin. Okay, hi Arun, welcome. Welcome, Vivek. Okay, joining in from Ahmedabad. Okay, folks, I guess we should get started now. Thank you all for joining in and also your patience while we waited for the others to join in. My name is Sanjay Dugar. I'm going to be your facilitator today. I've got this book called The Facilitative Leader as well, and there could be some insights from there. I might like to share at this point of time, this book, though it was written in the pre-pandemic era, I think the relevance of it has further accelerated as we are now currently in the post-pandemic era. So let's see how it all plays up, and we will take it as it comes. So the agenda that we have got today is about leadership evolution. You know, why did leadership style evolve? What happened? What was going on at that time? Looking at the situation today, what is accelerating VUCA mean? How does it play out for all of us? And what are the needs of the workforce as well? And then we look at what are those leadership skills needed now and how does facilitation play a role there? So that being our agenda, let's get right into looking at the leadership evolution. So leadership evolution, I think historically, a lot of us have seen that at the beginning, there was a lot of use of power and authority to drive their leadership. And as time went by, a little evolution happened and people jumped in to look at how they could build relationship with the workforce, how could they present things with them so that they could influence people to work for them. And as it emerged further, we looked at how people started to communicate about their vision and their thought leadership to attract the right kind of talent to work for them again. And then more recently, what we have been noticing is that a lot of emphasis around change is happening. A lot of people feel that Is my leader whom I'm working with, can he make me future ready? And will there be space for teamwork? Today, that's the scenario that we have been seeing. And of course, things have changed even further. But the question really is that why did leadership styles go through this evolution? What was going on in that time that made leaders adapt to this new method of working? To do this, I'm going to straight away take you into an activity. We shall get some group thoughts around the question, why did leadership styles go through this evolution? Right? I'll have you move to breakout rooms. I will just create that in a moment. You will have 7 minutes in your room. Please capture your thoughts. And when you return back to the main room, one of you from each of the rooms could place the information that you've gathered in the chat window. Right? And if for some reason might be useful for you to click this slide, click this picture of this slide so that you'll have the question available for you in your breakout rooms because the slides will not transfer there. So I'll just pause here to see if there are any questions before I open the breakout rooms. Just a moment. Jijit, are you there?
Yeah, Sanjay.
Can you see if you can create the breakout rooms? Because I don't have that option here.
Can I transfer the host rights to you?
Yes, please. All right, looks like the instructions are reasonably clear. So we're going to go right away. I'm going to be creating 6 breakout rooms, which means you'll have about 5 to 6 participants in each of the rooms. You will have 7 minutes, like I said, and I'll be setting the timer automatically. So at the end of 7 minutes, you'll get another 1 minute warning. So that it allows you to close up your discussion. Make sure you have nominated a person to make notes of your discussion so that they can place it on the chat window when they come back. Okay. When I click on open all rooms, you will get a pop-up window where it will ask you to join. Please click on that and you'll automatically move to the breakout rooms. All right, here we go. Okay, for those who have just joined in between, you should receive a pop-up which says join. There's a breakout room activity that is there. So please click on join and you will automatically move to the breakout room. So I see Sridhar is not joined in yet. If you need any help, please reach out. Sati, if you need any help, please let us know.
I did not receive a pop-up yet.
Okay, then on the bottom of your screen, you would see a button which says more. And in that more, it will give you an option for breakout rooms. And if you click on that, you can join as well.
Okay, more.
Hi, sorry, I joined in just like a second before. What exactly do we have to do?
All right, so the screen that is there, you are in your breakout room discussing in a group, why did leadership styles go through this evolution? The group will brief you on that. You can join into the room and they'll be able to help you there.
Hello, Sanjay. Unfortunately, I can't even see more. I can see view options. I can see view, but I don't get an option of more.
So which machine are you joining with?
I am on a Dell machine.
On a Windows machine?
Yes, Dell.
Okay.
Windows.
So at the bottom of your screen, What are the buttons that you
So
see?
I have mute, I have start video, participant, chat, share screen, record, reactions, leave.
And after that, 3 dots.
No, actually, let me just try and minimize the screen maybe. Uh,
So for those of
yeah,
you,
I saw it. Yes,
all right, great.
that has come. Yeah. So now what do I do?
Just click on breakout and you will join the breakout
So
room.
here again, it is participants, invite, chat, and record on this computer.
There should be an option called breakout rooms.
Participant 5, it says.
Okay, another possibility, if you want to exit and rejoin, maybe that will
Okay,
then be
I'll try to
faster
do
for
that.
you.
Okay.
Otherwise, we might lose time.
Sure, sure, sure.
Sure. Sridhar, do you have any difficulty joining a breakout room? Are you now able to see it, Sati?
Hi, everybody. This is
Yeah,
Abhilash.
hi.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Abhilash. Welcome. So the participants are in a breakout room and in about a minute, they will be back. So I suggest you can just stay in the main room.
Will do. Thank you.
Sure. Meanwhile, you can maybe think about this question that you're seeing on the screen.
Okay.
All right, folks, welcome back. I hope you had a good experience. And I'm going to invite each of you in from the breakout rooms, one representative from each of the rooms to type your group thoughts on the chat window.
Sanjay, initially we thought 7 minutes is more than enough, but we realized later on it was nothing.
Time really flies. Okay.
Same with our group also. We suddenly discovered that only 20 seconds are remaining.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Let's anyway capture what we have got. And if you think you are thinking of something more, you could add to your typing on the chat window as well. So let's just check. So we had one group which read, needs of the workforce have changed. Leader is more a companion and a mentor, getting the work done to directional leadership. Multiple solutions needed instead of one size fits all. Wow. Thank you, Yakin. Okay. And then we had physical supervision is no longer feasible, micromanagement to a more self-driven environment. Different generations are now a part of the workforce. So new line and servant leadership. Wow, amazing collection of thoughts there. Thank you, Akanksha, and your roommates. Then we have adapting the style to changing community scenario, assumptions getting challenged. As new kinds of teams work demography and situations come up. Rajgopalan, Sri Kumar, or other members from that group, would you like to expand this a bit? What was the changing community scenario and what are the demography and situations that you're referring to? Maybe that'll help the whole group.
Yeah, so, if I could add from our group, what we saw was that, over a period of time, as societies moved from, autocratic aristocracy to more of democracy, and as people have more options today, as they have more choices, you can't influence them sheerly by the force of your coerciveness or your persuasive personality. I mean, you today, and like, one of our team members here also said it's about how do you tap into the collective wisdom, how do you engage with them so that they want to kind of come and contribute there. And one other person also said that, the changes have also been in terms of the needs, the workforce, the situations are different, and that also would automatically need the change or evolution of the leadership style per se. One size doesn't fit all.
Right, absolutely. And people have a choice today and a lot of need, they need to address their needs as well. So great recap on that. Thank you so much. Okay, continuing ahead, and meanwhile you are all on mute, and if you need to unmute yourself, please type a message on the chat and I'll unmute you so you can then speak. So Mamta has written on behalf of her group, earlier we had a command and control approach. People were literate, semi-literate and very literate. Over time, concept of knowledge workers came in and the style had to evolve. Thank you for sharing that perspective. Then we have some other very interesting ones. I'll let you all read the chat as well, but we'll go through it a bit quickly. Sectors have grown and expanded differently. What is applicable in manufacturing may not be applicable in services. We have leaders from others who had to follow. Now is more of a coach. We also have that business roles changing with globalization, internet, etc. Awesome. We have generational diversity. People want reverse mentoring. And that's a lot that we are hearing nowadays. Thank you for sharing all of that. From breakout room number 4, we've got things are not the same, evolution of workplaces, multi-generation, no written SOPs, right? Especially in the time of pandemic. Awesome. And the businesses are becoming agile. A lot of very interesting stuff about being decentralized. Thank you for sharing that. Then we are also seeing around needs and requirements kept changing. And so leadership also changed to deliver. Amazing. And it's a lot to do from what we already heard about aristocracy to autocracy to democracy. Another nice, interesting point is about capturing collective wisdom. And with the coming of software industry and absence of hierarchy and Robin Sharma's concept of leading from where you are, Brilliant. I mean, a lot of these are some very, very interesting thoughts that are there. Change is the only constant thing. Evolution is the key to success. Organizational structures have changed. Wonderful. And then we have, in order to facilitate individual thinking and innovation, we need to empower individuals. A lot of autonomy is in demand. And of course, okay, I guess we found the name of the person. Let's see if I can remove that person. Just give me a moment, please. Okay, I guess he has left. Okay. Jijit, meanwhile, can you now unmute everyone, please?
Yeah, Sanjay.
Great, thanks. Okay, so those are some very interesting thoughts.
Sanjay, you are on mute.
All right, so what did we notice about all these different points that you have put together? There are some things which are changes in the external environment, the market dynamics, the business becoming agile, the needs of the customers changing. A lot of those external factors caused leadership to evolve. And there were changes in the internal environment, needs of the workforce, multi-generational diversity, autocracy, moving from autocracy to democracy, empowerment needed to drive innovation. A lot of these things are internal requirements as well. And that's very, briefly described in my book as well. More than happy for you to get your hands on that. And meanwhile, the situation today, like I said earlier, the book might have been written in the pre-pandemic, but it had focused on these two areas. That is the world being in VUCA. By VUCA, we mean volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That is further increasing or accelerating. It was always changing and always accelerating, but now the pace has really picked up. And the needs of the workforce has changed dramatically as well. So let's have a look at that. From that perspective, if we are looking at what is coming up next for a leader, the current external environment is all about market direction being uncertain. At the moment, it's very hard to say that the current market leaders can actually hold their leadership position if they are going to go about doing the same thing that they were doing before. It may be very, very uncertain. Competition has increased. Products, services, talents, business models have changed. And speed has become critical. I think on the chat, we had someone saying leaders need to be very agile as well. And collaboration has moved beyond organization boundaries. Today, people talk about not just collaborating amongst different teams in an organization, but actually, trying to find a team outside the organization with whom they can collaborate as well. Innovation has become the need of the hour. Every leader that you meet is talking about it. Customer needs are unclear. When we speak to customers and try to ascertain what their needs are, they are very, very unclear. They are not sure what to expect. And of course, technology is disrupting pretty much everything. I mean, when we just about a year back, it was hard to imagine that we would be conducting so much of business online, right? But that's what's happening. Mergers and acquisitions are on the rise. And mergers are no longer limited to in the same domain area, but cross-domain acquisitions are also happening. Bankruptcy is on the rise, and availability of funds for, especially for startups or people with not enough of a track record, is a challenge. The larger organizations that have deep pockets, for them funds are available, but then they don't need the funds. And so that's the external environment in a snapshot. The internal environment. The workforce needs. Security is a big concern today. There was a time like a few years back when people were very, very relaxed because they had lots of options. Today, people are finding that if they are holding on to their jobs, they should be happy, right? When they say work from home, and if people are saying we are working from home and they are not so happy, people are actually telling that, you know what, be thankful you have work and you have a home, right? So it's reached that proportion. Sustainability is on the minds of everyone. How do I sustain myself? If I have committed EMIs, what do I need to do? All of that. Working styles have changed. Fear of the unknown future is playing a lot on people's minds. They are very, very scared. What skills do I need to learn? They are not sure. How do I map my career going forward? They are very unsure. And this one's a very interesting one, moving down the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, a little while ago, a lot of people were worried about their basic security, and they would work for any kind of a leader who would ensure that they have a comfortable, sustained livelihood. And then, of course, leadership, as it evolved, it also built upon a situation where people started having much higher expectations. And now with the pandemic hit, it suddenly seems to have again gone downward. And people are again looking at, can I have my basic needs secure? And that's a very clear internal environment that leaders have to look at. And this one is another, which is a very strange reason that came up, difficult and reluctant to make decisions. I was talking to a lot of leaders, as to how they are planning to look at moving ahead after the pandemic. And they were saying that we are actually very surprised that we have a lot more work coming on our plate. And what they meant by that, when I probed further, they said earlier my second line and third line would make decisions and we would all be happy and keep going forward. And now they are very reluctant to make a decision. They are worried that if I make a wrong decision, I would be pinpointed and that would be a reason for people to fire me. It becomes very, very difficult for people to make decisions at a lower level. And for every small decision, they are looking up to the leader to make decisions. And while a lot of the workforce has different perspectives of what the future holds, right? These are all the concerns on the current day workforce that's going on. Of course, there is changing business strategy that is affecting the workforce, changing business models that's affecting the skills that the workforce needs. Changing goals and targets are a reality. And investor expectations are very unclear as well. And that is affecting the hiring and the firing and the reorganization and all of that. This is the current state of the internal environment. Let me pause here to see if there are any comments, thoughts, or some questions. Do you want to add something to this? Feel free to unmute and speak or even type on the chat window.
Hi, Sanjay. Arun
Yes,
Chitania
Arun.
here.
Yeah.
So one thought I have is that what I've noticed also, and it is a bit of more of my own thoughts also, that I'm taking a typical example of a sales team who is working on the field, and there is a manager who has to manage and the entire hierarchy. Now, typically we used to always think that the top person has to control, guide, monitor, and motivate the team. Now I'm able to see some change in their mindset. Now it is the ground level people who think that they are empowered, who think that hum to business to hum la ke dete hain, right? And they expect the entire team, even the seniors, that you just provide us the tools. You ensure that I get vehicle, I get my internet connection properly, I get my learnings, I get my brochures in time. So they look at the seniors as more of a service provider rather than the bosses. So that is one change I'm able to see. So I thought that this would bring some thoughts that is it elsewhere also, or is it some remote case?
Yeah, thank you, Arun, for sharing that. And yes, I resound with what you're saying. We've heard that as well. Whereas the workforce has become very demanding about tools and a lot to do about their reskilling. And thank you for bringing that out. And that's a huge demand that the workforce is placing on the senior leaders in an organization. Let's hear any other comments, any other thoughts around what Arun said.
Sanjay, I would take it forward from what Arun just said. Two very distinct examples, if I could say. Many years back, I had the occasion of the reason of staying in the Sayaji group of hotels and their properties in Pune and then in Indore the very next week. And then go back to stay there a couple of times. And I was amazed to see the kind of enterprise or enterprising mindset, youngsters there as young as 19 or 20-year-old people demonstrating. I was blown away. And then I went to speak to their CEO. I said, Hitesh, you need to help me understand what is it that these people do. They said, we hire the right kind of people. We give them decision-making authority. And then we look at what are the things they will need to take those kind of decisions, because we can't be there in every situation there. These are the people who have to take decisions. And when these people see that they've been trusted and empowered to take decisions, they grow up in responsibility there. And that's how they do it. So it was an amazing set of experiences I had. And taking further to what Arun just said, we all see what happened yesterday in Brisbane, and I think that with that we all can rest our case.
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up, Rajgopalan. I think it's a very important observation that there is a lot of wisdom in the current, young generation. Earlier, the belief was people could have knowledge, but wisdom would evolve as they gain experience. And the youngsters are really proving the entire theory wrong, right? They have so much of wisdom. There's so much of insight into what they can contribute to. And that's going to be a very important thing for leaders to look at, as how do you harvest that wisdom? How do you bring that group wisdom, especially when the youngsters they're open and they're willing to share? So how do you really make that environment safe enough for them to share and help innovate? So we'll talk about that as we go forward, but a great perspective there. I'll just pause and see if there's any other comment as well, and then we'll move forward. All right, wonderful. So amazing insights. Thanks for sharing your experiences. And now let's look at, if you had to be a leader today, right? If you are a person who's going to be leading with these kind of situations. We have a nice comment from Ranganath. Wise people should be made to be vocal. That's exactly the point. How do you get them to be vocal? And that we'll talk about that as we go. But thank you for sharing that. So thinking of yourself as a leader in this current situation, what do you think could be some challenges that you will now be facing? Given these changes that are happening, what kind of challenges perhaps a leader is facing? Let's get your thoughts on the chat window so everyone can hear. And if there is something that needs expansion of the idea, I'll definitely call on you to comment. So please go ahead and think about what kind of leadership what are those challenges that a leader would be grappling with? One, of course, is straight away come there. How do I get the wise people to be more vocal? That's one. And on that note, let's build in and see what else can come. So that was a message that came in privately. So I'll just put that on the group for everyone to see. Okay. Developing resilience. A lot of habits, changing from controlling to serving, thinking innovatively to face and respond to uncertainties. Absolutely. They need to be very, very agile. Maintaining personal connect, retaining the human touch and still working virtually. Wow. Okay. And a facilitator in the new context, of course. Business knowledge would be very critical. Leader needs to be even more one-on-one contact. A lot more compassion is required. Thank you for sharing that. And with current work from home, employees are putting more efforts than earlier. So it's going to be tough to manage their compensation expectations. Absolutely. Genuinely be empathic. Absolutely. And how do we bridge between polarized views to facilitate wisdom, helping people from being right to being wise? Wow. Emotional support. All right. I think there's some awesome things that are there now that a leader needs to be thinking. And when I try to compress that, lack of clarity is something that most leaders are grappling with today. Where are we going? Decision making in ambiguity automatically becomes that much more challenging. Again, like I earlier shared, next in line not taking decisions like before. They are happy to share opinions, but they are very, very scared to take decisions. And I'm referring to a large number of MNCs starting to talk about this, that how do we again reinforce that you can actually, take those decisions. And that's where Santosh Nagarajan, your comment, creating a safe place to work is so, so relevant. And more than knowledge, it's the skill with more humane behavior, humane touch. Thank you for sharing those. And information is so fragmented, right? Some people at the lower end of the spectrum have some information, some have middle, some from external sources where information needs to come in. How do you bring all of that together? Customer loyalty is becoming a concern with things going with technology supporting. Customers are free to choose from a lot of options they get, which earlier was not available to them. Employee work style has changed. I think all of you have called that out. In virtual working, how do you build trust among teams, right? How do you get that emotional connect? How do you get that empowerment? How can someone have a safe place to work so that their trust amongst the team members needs to be that strong that they can work together? Yeah, like Mamta says, giving the confidence to people to experiment, right? How do they take those risks? Those are going to be quite challenging for and leaders need to think about all of that. In fact, the leader's perspective is that their business model itself is going to be creating a challenge for them, because am I to create a strategy for survival or for growth? I mean, that's the first question. Then the next concern is, when there are situations of customers versus employees, who do I favor? And then, do I look upon competition as competition, or do I need them to cooperate? Right? And there's a nice word that in the previous session somebody had used called co-optition, which is becoming more and more relevant in today's times. So how do we manage all of this? And like what Naveen says, getting away from the need to micromanage, and yes, Arun, technical upgradation, all of that is great. The more important thing, as we go further on the new skills that a leader needs now, right? What a leader needs now is, how do I harvest group wisdom? We talked about it a little while before. How do I include my team in making decisions for us? I mean, it's no longer for me or in lieu of me. It's more about how do we make team decisions so that everyone lives by it, everyone aligns to it and then works towards it. And even if it fails, everyone is in it together so they can retrace their steps and try out a new strategy or a new tactic. How do I empower everyone to lead in their area of strength? Their strengths itself are changing, and how do I manage that? Open to accept radically different ideas. So a lot of us as leaders, especially who have been leading for a while, we struggle when an idea comes where we can't make sense of that idea. It's radically different. It's not comprehensible. How do you support that? That leads to the next point of, how do I allow risk taking? Creating a fail-fast culture and yet keeping it safe for all the employees. And influencing through consensus has become the need of the hour. Of course, every one of you talked about being agile, which is quick to change course. Keeping this in mind, here are some examples. So, excuse me. This is from...
Groups achieving results is good. Groups exceeding results is even better. This is where I feel facilitation plays a critical role. One of the stories that inspires me is the CEO I worked with, who for years struggled to get ownership and accountability from his team, especially around the sales target. He was very skeptical when I said, why don't you let the groups figure out their own target? So I co-facilitated with him for over a couple of days. And guess what? There was a CEO's target and the team's target. And even better, the team's target was higher than what the CEO had expected. And even more successful for the organization was the teams achieved that target. There's a lesson for leaders there. You want to excel. You want your teams to excel. Trust the intelligence of the team to drive the result. And leaders should just get out of the way.
So the video was from the IAF group, and Vinay, of course, is my business partner and colleague as well.
A bit of humanity can bring a breakthrough.
Sorry about that. So here's the second one,
Groups
where we are talking about facilitation being the key. Let's actually look at how do you actually drive another agenda that a lot of leaders have in their mind about innovation. All leaders have this as very, very high priority, but very little is being done about it. And most often it's the leaders that need to drive. So let's look at how you could do it. And here's another case study over there.
When diverse people are brought together to have conversations about the future, honest debate can be uncomfortable. And when we don't provide safe spaces for people to bring both their head and their heart to the process, they become marginalized or disengaged. We lose breakthroughs in thinking and leadership. Biodiversity Revisited, led by the Luke Hoffman Institute, use participatory, creative methods with people from around the world, virtually and face-to-face. A true collaboration. We didn't have a formula. We replaced PowerPoints with spirited conversations in interesting settings, used art to inspire people to share meaning beyond intercultural barriers. And new collaborations blossomed, with more diverse people having a voice for change. I believe that trust fosters courageous conversations that chart new ways forward. Investing in creative facilitation means investing in new solutions for life on Earth.
So these are stories which are there from the world of the IAF, where we talk about how you can use facilitation in the current scenario with the challenges that leaders are facing. And we strongly believe that that's something that leaders can look forward to using as almost like a life skill for leaders. So the other challenge that a lot of leaders called out is that meetings nowadays, earlier itself was quite difficult to get the best outcomes. And now in the current situation, it's become even more difficult, working virtually, some of them not having the right bandwidth, and all kinds of reasons come in. And there we look at how do you actually make the most out of meetings. And here's another video from the IF world where they've used facilitation. And let's see what that tells us.
Wondering how to make meetings more effective? Hint, it's not just the agenda. I'm the author of The Surprising Science of Meetings, and I get asked a lot, can you share some of these surprising findings with me? Well, one surprise is the agenda, well, it just doesn't guarantee success. It's actually the stuff between the bullet points that matters most. Agendas can be just a hollow crutch. What matters more is what's on the agenda. Is it relevant? What matters even more is how the leader facilitates discussion of the agenda items. Facilitation is the key piece to the puzzle. Without good, active, and inclusive facilitation, an agenda means very little. Recognize as a meeting leader that you are inherently a steward of others' time, and nothing honors a person's time more than creating a meeting environment that is full of engaged conversation, lots of active listening, and chock full of healthy conflict around ideas, not people.
All right. I'm going to pause here to see what are some reactions of people after having seen these 3 videos. All right, is that connecting purpose and passion? Oh, thank you, Kavita. Any quick thoughts about the different information that came in about what leaders can do today? Generate wisdom from the group. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Vinisha.
People-centric.
Clarity to communicate. Yeah, absolutely. And Darshana says emphasis on facilitation, empowering, set higher benchmarks for yourself than the team or management can do. Absolutely. That's where the power of how do you really harvest that group wisdom. Great, good thoughts out there. Thank you for that. And let's look at what can you now do as a leader to develop your facilitation skills. Right? That's the burning question. So we at C2C have tried to do a little bit over there and looking at what options we can offer to help build leaders. a 6 session of 3 hours each, interspersed with e-learning, a lot of e-learning modules and practice sessions with feedback to help enhance facilitation skills. That's something we can offer. We've given you a list of what participants, if they go through that 6 sessions, what they will be able to do. They would be able to enable and facilitate groups to achieve their desired outcomes, help in collaboration, help in looking at how to design a facilitated session, how to build engagement in the room, which leads to those spirited conversations that people talked about in the video, understand various methods and tools, and apply the IAF competencies. IAF here stands for the International Association of Facilitators. We are lucky that there is a body there that does a lot of work around how can facilitators be really effective. And we can look at borrowing stuff from them and using it, which we have done at C2C. Now, we've looked at the core competencies that the IAF has published. We put together a facilitation skills program, and we had that endorsed by the IAF. And we have, of course, now adapted it for the virtual environment as well. And the journey and schedule is there right before you. 6 sessions, the dates are given on the site. You will find that there are 7 over there, because the first session would be more a kickoff call, where we introduce you to the topic and provide you with the e-learning modules, and then session 1 on February 20th, and then so on. March 6th and March 9th would be your practice sessions, and each of the sessions are of 3 hours duration. Of course, there's an early bird discount exclusively for those who attended the webinar. So my team members, Remuna and Jijit, would get back to you. They would send you information about it. Feel free to ask them any clarifications or questions if you have, or you could also connect with me on that, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And hopefully, if you or some of the other people you know who really want to drive their leadership style in facilitative methods, facilitation skills would be very, very critical, and we'll be happy to help. So that was what I had to share from my side. Happy to look at any thoughts, comments, questions. Could answer some of them right away if possible. We do have a little bit of time which we reserved for this. And meanwhile, thank you, Kavita, for typing in the website, iaf-world.org. I would encourage participants here, if you haven't visited that site, do go in there. There's lots of information about facilitation that could be really, really useful for you. But just now open to any questions. Feel free to either speak or type on the chat. And as much as time can permit, and if I know the answers, then I'm happy to share that with you. All right. So if there are no more questions, always write to us on email. Not a problem there. Yeah, Vinisha, that's exactly what I was thinking. If I didn't know the answers, I would actually generate the answers from this group itself. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Rajgopalan. Acknowledge that you like the session. And an invitation for all of you that please feel free to connect with our team and know a little bit more about it. Of course, it doesn't matter whether you register for the course or not, but we are always happy that the interest in facilitation is kept alive. I think that's very important, and we do believe that it's a very, very useful skill. So thank you once again, and thanks for taking the time off to attend this webinar. We from C2C team are very delighted to have had all of you participate. And if you have any comments, any thoughts, any feedback, feel free to type it on the chat window before you exit. And of course, I wish all of you a very, very happy evening ahead and all the very best. Okay, we've got a link that's put up on the chat window as well, where you'll find more details about the Facilitative Leader Program. Feel free to check that out. All right, any suggestions for using virtual background? Thanks for asking that question. Yes, if you wish to, block the background, or if you wish to establish the identity, then it's quite a useful thing to do. That's how I do it. And so the distortion happens if you don't have a green screen, then you do get distortion. So if you have a green screen, so right now behind me, there's a green screen, and that allows the virtual background image to be still, while when we move, you don't get that ghost-like images. I hope that helps you. All right, folks. So if there are no more questions, then all the very best, and we look forward to seeing you sometime soon.